You've come to the right place if you're looking to create, launch, and scale a high value online training program. I'm your guide, Chris Badgett. I'm the co founder of LifterLMS, the most powerful learning management system for WordPress. Stay to the end. I've got something special for you. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome back to another episode of LMS Cast. I'm joined by a special guest. His name is Taco Vanderschot. That's the best I can do with a Dutch last name. We're going to get into how to make your website progress better, get the tasks you need to get done to help builders also set their clients up for success. It's a really cool project. You can check that out at progressplanner.com. But first, welcome to the show, Taco.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah. We were chatting at a WordPress event and you were telling me about Progress Planner. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I build complex sites, our users build complex sites, and there's a lot of things that need to happen, even with just
Yeah.
regular plain WordPress to get going. But tell us in a nutshell, what is Progress Planner?
So I like to use an analogy, and that is where I compare your website to a garden. If you have a new plot of land and you want to build a beautiful garden out of it, you need to spend a lot of time and energy getting it ready, putting in the plans, designing everything. It's very similar with your website. You need to spend a lot of time and energy to get it up and running. But just like a garden, you can only sit back and relax and enjoy it for so long before little weeds start popping up and you need to mow the lawn at some point. And with your websites, it's the same. You can only leave it alone for so long until you need to start doing little maintenance tasks. Maybe update a plugin, revise some content, write a new piece of content. And it's those tasks that people oftentimes forget or really don't like doing. It's pretty much like me and gardening. I like having a nice garden. I swear I hate gardening. So I need some extra motivation to do those tasks. And that's where we build Progress Planner to be your little motivator to help you do those little maintenance tasks that weeding on your website.
I think it's really cool. I was thinking about it in terms of the user journey. And there's a lot of stuff around like getting people to your site, getting traffic or getting a sale, a conversion. And then, but the other half of the funnel is what happens after that. It's about onboarding, activation, retention, getting them coming back, staying around, telling their friends. There's like this whole other journey after the beginning of getting the traffic, which you know a lot about from Yoast SEO.
For sure.
And we have these setup wizards as an example, like some WordPress plugins. All right, you got one shot to proactively give somebody some advice. And a lot of times, if you're in a hurry or you've been building sites for a while or something, you just close that thing.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
And then
exactly.
later you're like, wait, what was that thing I had to set up for this thing to work? And then this is like it's like a setup wizard that never stops being proactive and working for your best interests. And I
Yeah,
find that really cool.
yeah, exactly that. And so right now we started fairly recently, August last year, and we're still building new things and new checks and new tools and new tasks for you to do. But one of the cool things that we recently introduced is an integration with another plugin. And you probably won't be surprised when I tell you that's Yoast SEO. It's a plugin that we know quite well since the majority of our team used to work at Yoast. So what we now do is we look at those settings in Yoast SEO that were really hard to surface from within the plugin, and we help Yoast users to make the most out of their SEO plugin. And that's definitely something that we want to expand to other plugins as well. We're looking for next integrations to see which plugins have a need to nudge their users into some of the settings, into workflows that they have in the plugin that their users tend to skip. and we'll happily help them get their users activated to do all of those.
That's awesome. I know as a guy who's been trying to figure out SEO for a long time, I think I'm pretty decent at it, but it took me a while. And I remember getting into the Yoast tool, and you had the workouts, and there was some progress bars of, hey, don't forget about this thing over here. I just found
Yeah.
it super helpful. Like you said, there's buried components and pieces that if you miss it, you may be really hurting the success of your project.
Yeah, and those exist in plugins, but also in WordPress core.
Yeah.
One of the things that we see a lot with sites that have been around for years, that they still have the tagline, just another WordPress site.
Yeah.
And if your theme doesn't expose it on the front end, there's no way you're going to see that unless you either dive into that menu and then it doesn't stand out as being a problem, or if you look at the source code, because WordPress does output your tagline on every single page. And it's quite annoying if you're just one of those, just another WordPress websites, according to search engines, because they do see that output. So that's one of the checks that we have in Progress Planner where we really find problems that oftentimes have existed on sites for years.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I think I just got it naturally because I'm in the LMS space, and progress tracking is a big part of what our software does. And
Yeah.
for most courses, you don't complete it in one sitting. So you need to come back, figure out where you left off. Some people may jump around to different lessons out of order and need to know what's done, what's not done. And if that didn't, that's literally the whole point of the LMS. And a lot of building a website is just like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the interesting thing is you just talked about the onboarding experience in your plugins. Well, and that works perfectly if the person setting up the website has all the information about the end result. But especially if your website's built by an agency, we oftentimes see that a more technical person is doing the initial setup and installing a set of plugins and all of that. And then later on, a content team is filling the website. But if your plugin has shown its onboarding wizard to this developer who has no clue about the eventual name of the site, about social images, about users, what have you, they're going to close all of those onboarding wizards. And then typically they don't pop up anymore because they've already been closed. And so you completely miss the opportunity to bring your onboarding wizard to the user who actually should be going through that onboarding wizard. But as a plugin, I think it's an urban legend that everyone is tired of notifications. uh,
Yeah.
Probably beyond an urban legend because it's true. It's highly annoying if every plugin's throwing constant stream of notifications at you. So there's only so much you can do as a plugin to nudge your users into the wanted behavior. Now, if you gamify that and you make people get points when they resolve notifications, all of a sudden they start asking for more notifications. And that's exactly what our users are doing. They're emailing us saying, hey, I've completed all my tasks. What am I going to do next? I want to get my badge for this month and I need another 3 or 4 points. Give me more things to do. So we can send unlimited notifications because people are rewarded and are actually asking for them. And that's also where we can, be a nice partner for plugins to help get users, yeah, reminded about some of the tasks.
I love that. And also in the LMS space, like we have gamification and notification. So I get it. Like it works. It definitely gamifies, what needs to be done, and you get the little dopamine hit. And another example I wanted to point out to what you said earlier, to the site builder closing all the setup wizards and then handing it off to the content team. Another one I've seen more and more over time is people are building these websites as a service where it's
Mhm.
like it's bundling all these different plugins and themes and stuff together, and the user just gets a site. And what those folks do when they build those setups is they often like skip the notification because the notification or the setup wizard is waiting for you to activate a plugin one at a time. But in these cases where a website activates all these plugins at once, you can't run 10 setup wizards at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So I could see Progress Planner really coming in handy for those kind of setups as well.
Yeah, and it's not just agencies doing this because, for example, if you look at what hosting companies are offering nowadays, so even at the lower end of the market where people build their own websites, back in the day, you would get a hosting package, download WordPress, install WordPress. You had to manually create a database, enter details. That doesn't happen a whole lot anymore. A lot of people are using pre-built packages. For example, Bluehost has a whole AI onboarding wizard. WordPress.com has their new AI onboarding wizard. So you don't touch those first steps anymore, but you start with sort of a pre-built site where you only have to change some content on the site. So more and more people never even touch plugins and don't know how to install them because they've never done it. So that's definitely a change compared to when I first started in WordPress.
Beyond the setup in the early month or 2 of a website, tell us about, like, the ongoing challenges, like, for copywriting challenge or broken links challenge. How does this stuff
Yeah.
work?
In the plugin, there's a lot of recommendations, and they are on a more technical level, which is the ones that we talked about before. And there's a set of content recommendations. One of my pet peeves is when I go to someone's website because I'm interested in their business or buying a product off of them. And I go to the About page and it lists one or two people. Even though I know that it's a bigger company by now and they've never updated it. It's been sitting there for 6 years and no one cared to tell, hey, we're now a 40 people team instead of just the two of us. So little checks like that. When have you last updated the page? Is it time to do something new? That's what we also have in the plugin. But some of the things that you need to do on your website, things that you need to improve, are bigger than a 5-minute task. And that's where we currently have the challenges. Right now, we're in a site speed challenge. So we had a webinar last week to tell people about, hey, this is what site speed means. This is what it does for your site, why it's important. And now they have some time to work on it themselves. And we give some extra reading material, extra hand holding to help them take on a larger task than just the 5-minute checks that you find in the plugin. And we've done the same for broken links a couple months ago. We've done the same for copywriting. So, how do I write a decent page? How do I write a blog post? How do I write an about page? So, that's what we do about 6 times a year at the moment as well, is those sort of focused topics that take a little bit longer than just a few minutes to do.
That's awesome. I'm gonna get this thing on my main LifterLMS website because, for example, just recently I did a broken links scan. It popped in my head like,
Yeah.
"Oh, man, I should really do that." It's been a couple years, and oh my gosh, were there a lot of broken links, and we should have been doing that all along. And yeah, like,
Yeah.
you can't hold it all in your head even if you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, and I would say especially if you've been doing it for a while, because then your site grows, you have a lot of content, a lot of posts, and it becomes really hard to continue to realize, oh, wait, maybe I should go through this and click all the links that I have in my posts and my pages and everything. So, yeah, I think everyone who looks at their site and throws a broken link scanner at it will come to the same realization. Oops, there's a couple hundred links that I need to fix.
It was more than that. What
You've been around for a while,
I have
so
been around for a while, and I'm not the only one making content on the site, so there's a lot of content. What about in terms of you have a free version and a paid version, how should people think about that?
yeah. So right now we're heavily focusing on the free version, and to the point where in a couple weeks we're going to WordCamp Europe, and we're going to not even mention the pro version. So it's all about, hey, use this tool, make your site better, experience that it works, and from there we'll see. But for now, full focus on the free version.
This episode of LMS Cast is brought to you by Pop-Up Maker, the most powerful, trusted pop-up solution for WordPress. Whether you're selling online courses or memberships, Pop-Up Maker helps you grow your email list, boost sales conversions, and engage your visitors with highly customizable pop-ups. Imagine creating custom opt-ins, announcements, and promotions that actually convert. I personally use Pop-Up Maker on my LifterLMS websites for lead magnet opt-ins, cart abandonment, upsells, downsells, and guiding users to helpful content. Pop-Up Maker is an essential tool for growing my email list and making more money online through my website. Ready to take your website to the next level? Head on over to wppopupmaker.com/LMScast and save 15% on your order. Discount automatically applies when you visit through that link. Pop-Up Maker also has an awesome free version, so you can just use that as well. Go to wppopupmaker.com/LMScast and save 15% off your order or get started with the free version now. Get more leads and sales on your website with Pop-Up Maker today. Now back to the episode. That's awesome. And you said you're going to WordCamp Europe.
Yeah.
Tell us about, first of all, you've been around WordPress for a long time. And I wonder this question sometimes. I just fell in love with the open web and being able to build a website and display a message that anybody anywhere in the world could see. And just magically, I just woke up inside the WordPress world and I felt, wow, this software is built for people like me. And I joined the community and did a bunch of stuff. But what was your doorway into WordPress and falling in love with this ecosystem?
So it's quite an interesting story. Back in the day, and we're talking early 2013, I was studying computer science as a part time studies next to a job. And one of my classmates, for a project that we had to do, suggested using WordPress. And I had heard of WordPress before as a blogging tool, but he said we can really do this project. It can serve, we can create an API within it, and we can do all cool stuff. We started using WordPress. He was quite convincing, worked on that project for about 3 months, got a decent grade, and that was the end of it. Then something changed at the job where I was at the time. And on a morning while commuting to that job, I saw a retweet by that classmate. He retweeted a guy named Joost de Valk, who was looking for a developer and said, we're looking for someone to train. Junior developer, they said, hire for talent and attitude, train for skill. I was pretty sure that I did not have any skill. So that was a match. Attitude, I know, was fine. That's not going to be a problem. And talent, God, if I know. I decided to apply on this train at 6:30 in the morning. And to my own surprise, I got a phone call a day or two later inviting me to an interview. And I joined Joost de Valk at his company called Joost, owner of Joost SEO. This is also why you should never name your company after yourself, by the way. It's highly confusing. But I joined the company at first as a developer. Then very quickly we learned about the talent or lack thereof in my case for being a developer. And I switched roles within the company to customer support. But in the meantime, there was this event organized in Leiden in the Netherlands, and it was called WordCamp Europe. It was the first time someone ever organized something like it, apparently. And Joost de Valk was like, okay, you know what? You go and go have fun, go learn things. There's interesting speakers. You'll probably meet some people. It's a nice community. I did meet a lot of people, and some of them I still consider friends today. One of them you had on the show a couple weeks back, Brad Williams, had the most amazing event. Ended up with people that I had never heard of, but apparently were known names in the community. Mark Jaquith, Nason. I had no idea who these people were, but everyone welcomed me and it was one friendly bunch. And I decided to stick around. And well, here we are 12 years later, still in WordPress and still love to travel to conferences and yeah, meet my people around the world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's the future vision for Progress Planner? Like, where are you guys going with it? Because it's newer, and I know it has a vision behind it. So, what's
Yes.
the big vision?
Yeah, our ultimate goal is to make the web better. There the web is an ever expanding collection of information, and it should be useful and it should be usable. And having old still websites doesn't help anyone. It uses unnecessary power. It doesn't add value for anyone. It doesn't add value for SEO, for search. It's bad. So if we can help keep the web better up to date through Progress Planner, through helping people be more active on their website, then that's what we're aiming for. And I am convinced that we can do it, that we can integrate with more plugins, that we can have more checks in WordPress, that we can be even more engaging to help people come back to their site, write more content, keep their site online. And then when they decide it's time to retire their website, that they do so because they are making a decision and not because it's just lingering somewhere on the web, polluting it.
I love that. I think this idea is as big as the idea of documentation, where documentation is reactive. Oh, I have a problem. Let me search the knowledge base, see what I can find. And this is like the proactive, it's like proactive documentation. And that's anticipating what the user needs next is like really cool. And that's how
Yeah.
products should be.
It's also challenging because for
You have to be
people
a
to,
psychic, you have to be a mind
well,
reader.
absolutely. And there's another component to it. We're super upfront. We help you
Oh,
do those tedious tasks that you're forgetting about. But that means that people first have to admit that they might not be as on top of their website as they want to think they are.
yeah.
So, in order to get those installs for Progress Planner, we have to convince people look, there really is a need on your website to install this so we can help you. And that is an interesting challenge that we're currently facing. And yeah, I hope that all of your listeners now go, oh, wait a second, maybe there's some things that I haven't done in the last 6 months. Let me check. Let me see what Progress Planner comes up with. And I'm pretty sure when they do, they'll fall in love.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost seems like that kind of idea that like this is a good thing that web hosting companies should install by default on all WordPress sites
If, yeah.
just to be of help.
If there's a host that wants to talk about that, taco at progressplanner.com, send me an email. Happy to.
Let's go back into Yoast history a little bit with what you were saying about what people may have missed. What are some common things when it comes to SEO for a site that that things Progress Planner as an example would pick up and be like, "Hey, be sure you do X." What's X?
Oh, one of the worst problems that we have in WordPress is a feature called tags, because that sounds like the hashtags that we use on social media.
Yeah.
And people use them in WordPress as if they are hashtags in social media. Now, the problem with that is that for every tag you create, WordPress creates a page and actually a couple of versions of that page. So for every tag, there's several URLs that are created on your site. But if you create a tag for a single post, then that tag page does not have any value for your website. Now, if you add 8 different tags to every post, you get a mass inflation of URLs on your domain that which adds absolutely nothing to your site. They're all thin content pages. They're absolutely useless, but they exist. And so the perceived quality of your website is much lower because a search engine is going to see that only 1 in every 8 URLs has any meaningful content. That's not a sign of a quality website. So, one of the things that Progress Planner does is compare the number of tags that you have to the number of posts to see if that is a healthy balance. And if not, it will recommend you what to do or even to install one of our plugins called Fewer Tags, which was built by Joost de Valk a while back. And that will help you slim down on those useless tags. But in the long run, obviously, what we hope to achieve is that people understand that the tags in WordPress are not the same as hashtags on Twitter or Instagram or what have you, and that they start using them responsibly so we don't have to solve the problem afterwards.
Just for general education for blog posts, what's the difference between a category and a tag? Like, how should tags actually be used, if at all?
If at all, is the first one. For most sites, you don't need them.
Yeah. Categories
Um,
can
one,
organize your
yeah,
stuff.
if you want to organize stuff, usually categories, which are, and this is a word I hate in English, hierarchical.
That's
I
pretty
don't
good.
know. Yeah, I
Got it.
just so that's the main difference between categories and tags. Categories have that hierarchy and they you can structure them a little bit deeper. Tags are just hey, this is related to this, and that could be across categories, could even be across custom post types in some cases. And so, for example, if you have a recipe website and you have them categorized in this is Italian recipes, this is Mexican dishes, I like that example, and this is Polish dishes. Across those categories, there might be recipes that take 15 minutes. That's where you could use a tag that says this is ready in 15 minutes. Now, if you then go to that tag page, you will get recipes across categories that are done in 15 minutes. So that could be a valuable use of tags in WordPress.
Another thing I thought of is that we all know if we've been in WordPress for a while to check, but there's one checkbox that says disable indexing from search engines.
Yes.
And so a lot of times when people are building sites, they have that checked so they can build in private and then they forget or they hand it off to the client and forget to turn it off.
Yeah.
That's a bad one.
Yeah, I think that if you have any SEO plugin installed, it should already scream in your face like, hey, you forgot something. But just to be sure, we've also added that to Progress Planner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. What's another SEO area that Progress Planner would pick up on?
So another interesting one is the tagline that you have in WordPress.
Yeah.
By default, it says just another WordPress site. And if you don't have a theme that outputs the tagline in the front end, it's hard to spot. You will actually have to go into the admin to see that this tagline is set, but it is outputted on every single page in the source code. So a search engine will see that description of your website on every single page. If you search Google for just another WordPress site, you'll be amazed how many sites show up because they still have that set on their site. So that's one of the things where Progress Planner also helps you. Hey, don't forget about this little thing. And the surprising thing is, we saw it a lot on sites that have been a lot online for a long time. So it's not just post launch, but years and years in.
Since you're a SEO expert, I have to ask, what are your thoughts on AI's influence on SEO or an emerging new field of artificial intelligence optimization or whatever? Like what's happening right now? What should we be worried about, not worried about? What are some things we can do as we enter the intelligence age?
I feel that you are asking the Wright brothers just after they had their first successful flight. How big is a jumbo jet going to be in 80 years?
Yeah.
I have no clue where it's going. And that is despite me studying artificial intelligence for a couple of years at university. I don't know where this is going. What I do know is that for SEO, what we've always been trying to solve is a user's problem. Someone has a problem and needs a solution to their problem. And in order to show up, you need to have that information in a clearly written, accessible way available for them. And that doesn't change. LLMs consume your website as well. From what I've seen so far, they are a lot worse at processing JavaScript and stuff like that. So all the complex sites make it harder for LLMs to understand your site and its content. So basically, we're back to the early days of 10 blue links in Google, where you need to be specific, you need to build an authority in order to show up in search results. And whether that's an LLM or a search engine doesn't really matter.
Yeah. The human and the LLM and the search engine, they still need high quality content that you made from your original website.
Yes, anyone can generate anything using AI, but the original idea to create something valuable, for now at least, needs to come from human input. There's no LLM that's going, haha, I have the next fantastic idea that no one's ever thought of before. Because the whole way the model works is it just it's a chance calculation on what is probably going to be the next word after the one I just printed. That's not generating new ideas yet.
I'm curious, and at Yoast, how many sites did you say are approximately using it?
So right now there's about 13 million websites running Yoast SEO.
So how do you do support for that many websites?
Yeah, so me not anymore.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that the support team at Yoast at the time I left last year was about 40 people. So how do you do support? You build a product that's good enough that most of your users run without needing support. There's
I've been
no
using
way to answer 13 million questions with whatever size team you can imagine.
I've been using Yoast for, I don't know, over a decade probably, and I don't think I've ever submitted a support ticket. But
And yeah, that's as it should be.
yeah, and that's where a progress planner comes in too, is that's only gonna help too with just helping people figure out how to use the tools they just read about in an article, got excited about, and put on their website.
Yep,
Be proactive. It'll
exactly.
actually reduce support for plugin companies, theme companies, WordPress core, all of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what we're aiming for. It should be beneficial for any plugin that we've integrated with to say to the users, hey, install Progress Planner. It will help you get to that next level using our product. There's a lot of complicated plugins out there. Setting up an LMS is something, it's not rocket science, but it will require some time. And there's some finesses that we probably can help you with by giving the right nudges at the right time. So that's one of the things that we can do with Progress Planner is help you get those nudges. So maybe we should do an integration.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. It sounds like a plan. And my last question for you, Taco, is like who? And there's like a couple characters here. We've got the do-it-yourself website builder, business owner, passion project person. We've got the freelancers and agencies. We talked about how hosting companies could benefit from this. But who is this for and how can they get the most value out of it depending upon which type of character they are?
Yeah, so I think for the end user, it's the feedback that no one's giving them. So the things, hey, have you thought about updating this content? Have you updated plugins? Now, if someone's working with an agency, that agency might want to receive those notifications and be proactive towards their customer and go, hey, did you know that it's been 6 months since you last updated this page? Has anything changed? You could package it as an agency, talking about that about page again, for example. Hey, we've been working together for a year. Have there been any changes in your team? Is there something that we can update for you? So it helps you ask the right questions to your client, and it will make you look good because you're so on top of what they're doing on their website. It will also give you some of the nudges on the more technical levels. That's how an agency could benefit from installing the plugin on their clients' websites. Or if an agency goes, what if I can offload updating some of the content to the end user and have them do that reminder, then I can use some of the budget that's remaining to work on the fun tasks, because typically updating content is not the most fun to work on. So that's an agency play. And then, as you said, for hosting companies, if they install it for all of their clients and this helps their client keep their website more active, it means you're extending your customer lifetime with, I don't know how much yet, but I'm hoping that will be significant. And knowing the hosting industry, even a couple of months is significant at the scale that they're at. So that's definitely the hosting play right there.
Awesome
So
talk.
a lot of things, and there's something for everyone.
Awesome taco. Amazing work. I'm excited to see Progress Planner and where it goes. What's the best way for those out there watching and listening to get started with it?
Go to your WordPress website, add a plugin, search for Progress Planner, and if you see a happy rooster, that's our friend Ravi right here. That's the plugin you're looking for. That's where you get started. Install it. It will already run a lot of checks on your site. So probably you get your first badge almost immediately. And then there will be a lot of useful checks that you can do so you can keep busy for the next couple of months. And for those who are listening and coming to WordCamp Europe, make sure you have Progress Planner installed on your site. Come show it to us, and there will be a nice raffle just for Progress Planner users.
Nice, nice. Let's Taco Vandershot. I got you on hierarchical. You got me on your last name. But
Yeah.
that's Taco from WordPress. Thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Go check out progressplanner.com and look for Taco at WordCamp and around the internet. But thanks for coming on, Taco. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. A lot of fun here.
And that's a wrap for this episode of LMS Cast. Did you enjoy that episode? Tell your friends and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And I've got a gift for you over at lifterlms.com lifterlms.com/gift. Go to lifterlms.com/gift. Keep learning, keep taking action, and I'll see you in the next episode.